In fact, did you know that there's a part of your face that's known as the triangle of death?
No.
Yeah, dude. I'm dead serious. Look it up. It's I think it's the triangle of death. It's around your nose. If you have a pimple, you're not supposed to pop it because it can actually like cause like a that's so close to your sinuses in your brain that the bacteria could get pushed in and actually like cause like a brain infection.
Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy. And what's really horrifying about that is I've popped many a pimple as a teenager. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
Yeah,
oh shit, that's
pretty dangerous.
That's something you're really not supposed to do, you know?
That would definitely put a blemish on your life.
Yeah.
A blemish.
A blemish. That'd put an abscess on your life. Abscess of life. That sounds like a freaking
all abscess pass.
All abscess. Greetings, citizens of Earth. Welcome to Accelerativ Thrust. I'm Dan.
And I'm Erik.
And today we're going to continue talking about stuff.
Yeah, just when you thought it was over.
And just when you thought it was over.
Yeah. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. It's been 3 weeks of abscesses and assault and allegations and all kinds of
all sorts of alliteration, really.
Yeah, all sorts of alliteration and literature and whatever. Hey, Erik,
Hey,
I saw that our good friend Brooks Strauss is no longer an Iowan.
True, he moved away. Yeah,
he's now a Michigan.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know what I did, but I have driven all of my friends out of Iowa City.
You really?
I'm the only one left.
You think it's because of you?
Well, I mean, I'm the connecting element in everything in my life. See?
Oh yeah.
It's hard not to think it has to do with you, even though it clearly doesn't logically. I mean, you're the common denominator in every aspect of your own life. It's just the way it is. So if you think you're the problem, that really is the only thing that makes sense, even though logically it's not true.
Sure.
So the short answer is it was me.
It was all you. You're the one who said.
I was the one that was like, I'm staying, do whatever the hell you want. That's what I said to all of them.
You're all you like put your fist up.
Yeah.
Just like, no, I'm staying here, man. Iowa City, Iowa till the end.
Right. Yeah. And I was like one of those people camped out in their houses that's obviously going to get flooded or blown up or burned. So I'm just too old to change now.
That's
going to have to die in this city.
Wow. That sounds brutal, Erik.
Yeah. Your life is brutal, man.
like that Wicker Man movie, the
Whitaker Man?
The Whitaker Man.
Oh God.
Yeah, I did watch the Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh yeah, I saw your review on the social media.
Yeah,
it sounded like it was a mixed reaction.
Yeah, it was a mixed reaction. It's what I like the animation a lot. But I just didn't like the storyline, and I didn't like the characters. Certain characters I did not like. But
that's like my take on life, really.
Exactly.
The animation's okay. Some of the characters suck.
Actually, I'll say the animation ruled. The animation was actually exceptional. I mean, it was just like an Into the Spider-Verse,
Right.
But Into the Spider-Verse, this was not. This was much less like Into the Spiderland.
Oh yeah, Slint.
Yeah, Slint. Yeah. I like that Slint album.
Yeah, it's a good record. It seems it seems to be one of the most beloved albums of all time. It seems.
It does seem that way, yeah.
It's like one of those records that it's like everyone loved it, but then all of a sudden everyone was like, "Hey, do you love this album?" And then everyone was like, "Yes, we all love this album." And then it's, accepted that it's amazing.
Yeah, it was a record that I had heard of for a while. I think around the early 2000s is when it started to at least from what I saw, that's when it started to really become critically acclaimed.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that the reason why they called it Spiderland is because the guitars were spidery like metal guitars. Like David Pajo was really influenced by metal. And
Nice.
a bunch of people say that if you speed up Spiderland, which I don't know anybody who's done that, but if you speed it up, it basically sounds like Megadeth riffs.
Well, I'm gonna check that out. So
yeah, I'd be really interested.
Let me make a note.
Slick.
Make Spiderland good.
Yeah, make it good and fast and hard.
Yeah.
We speed it up and it's like, hello, me, it's me.
Yeah. Hello, me. What a fucking dumb. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I know Megadeth technically rules and are awesome, but Jesus Christ.
You don't have to be funny.
I can't get over it. And I can't get past it. The vocals. What am I supposed to think? What? Oh my God. He does have a style, and it works for some of the things. Like Symphony of Destruction, I don't think would be the same without Dave Mustaine's vocals. No, it wouldn't be the same.
Acting like a robot. What he's talking about. Yeah. Just like the Pied Piper. Rats through the street. He does have a funny voice. That's for
Symphony of Destruction.
Then you got to do the riff, the that's like
take a mortal man.
Watch him
in control. Watch him become a god. Okay.
Oh man!
So what else has happened in the?
We do have
nearly a month we've been away.
We do have records that we could talk about if we wanted to.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about? I don't usually bring up celebrity deaths because usually I'm kind of like, well, how does this really impact me? And the answer is nearly always in no way at all does this impact me. Like I'm sad for people's friends and family and like the standard loss and grief and all that I can empathize with and all that. But usually I'm not like, oh, wow, they meant a lot to me as an artist and stuff. But there is somebody that passed away that was just ubiquitous in my childhood. And I think everyone else's, right? Pee Wee Herman,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I think Pee Wee Herman touched, Paul Rubens touched so many different facets of my growing up, really big deal. And so, I don't know if I just wanted to shout out to Mr. Rubens.
Sorry if I bumped you out.
Rest in peace, Paul Rubens. You definitely, definitely provided some entertainment, man.
R.I.P. We.
R.I.P. We. R.I.P. We. Only we could start laughing after saying R.I.P. to something.
Ripperino. Peace out, Girl Scout.
Oh my God, I never heard that.
This is the eulogy I give. Ripperino. Peace out, Girl Scout. See you on the flip flop.
On the flippity flop.
Yeah. I'll see you when I'm also toast.
Okay, so what about these records? What about
the music that we're
I think we're still I mean, we're still a show, right?
I mean, at this point, I think it really is, but it's up to us.
I mean, it used to kind of come in question, but now it's really coming into question. Like,
yeah, I don't think anyone's even expecting this episode to come out. I think they're all like, well, another podcast I listen to.
We barely are. Yeah, yep. Oh,
and maybe they're right. Maybe this episode will never come out.
Uploading sporadically means code word for failure. Yeah. I guess it's 2 words. It's 2 code words for failure.
Yeah.
Uploading and sporadically.
True.
Oh, man.
Okay, well.
Come on, everybody. It's record time.
The first release we're going to talk about after these, long, what is it? It's been like a month now, hasn't it?
I think pretty much, yeah.
I'm going to talk about my pick, which is Jeff Rosenstock. This is an album called Worry. For those of you who are not familiar with who Jeff Rosenstock is, he's been in the quote unquote music industry since I don't know, 2000 and probably the early 2000s. He's the man behind Bomb the Music Industry and quote unquote records. So Bomb the Music Industry was the group that Jeff was in from, I don't know, somewhere around 2004 to probably 2012, something like that, or maybe even like a little bit later than that. But since then, he's been putting out solo records. And so Bomb the Music Industry is, the story behind Jeff Rosenstock is just as interesting as I think his music. And that is, he is among the first artists to put his music online for free. Quote unquote records operated as a digital DIY record label in the 2000s, and it was purely donation based. And so he kind of took the, I don't know, the mindset of like Ian MacKaye and like, Fugazi, and they didn't sell any merch. They didn't have any physical copies of their records, but people could download them and make customizable covers and t-shirts and things like that. And they would actually encourage that. They would encourage people to bring like paint and like a blank shirt to like shows and stuff like that. But since then, Jeff Rosenstock started putting out solo records, and he's actually on legit labels now and is actually touring. But anyway, this is his second official record called Worry, which came out in 2015. And I just think it's absolutely amazing. It's a record that I feel really sort of explores the human condition. And I feel like it touches upon a lot of subjects that people worry about. Worry is, I couldn't think of a better title for this record. It talks about mental health. It talks about war, what it means to grow up, friendships growing apart, new friendships, talks about the fear of living in financial turmoil, talks about all of the worries that are associated with living in a capitalist society with politicians that really don't, give a shit about, what you want to hear or what you're going through, and pretty much just wants to line their pocketbooks, things like that. It's just, it really does talk about these sort of dark subjects, but I do feel like there's also definitely a glimmer of hope. I think that he there's a part in the sort of narrative of the record where he's kind of like, at the end of the day, we'll kind of all be okay as long as we stick together and try to kind of heal one another, and things like that. In that sense, I kind of feel like it's sort of a record that is kind of prophetic, that it really did kind of set the stage for what was going to happen in the future. There was almost like a predictive element to it, in a weird sort of way. As far as the actual music, I mean, it really touches on a lot of different things. At the end of the day, it definitely is, I would say, a punk rock record. But I mean, it really touches on hardcore, indie rock, singer songwriter stuff, folk music. There's little bits of Americana and ska, even glam, even a little bit of like electronica is thrown in there. And I mean, it even has kind of like this sort of, punk rock opera sort of feel to it. I think that the lyrics and themes are very pure. Um, yeah, he talks about sort of growing up and learning to sort of take a look at yourself and try to be a better person and kind of what it means to be a better person. Like, at least that's kind of that's sort of what I'm getting out of it. But yeah, it's also like the music itself, I think, is just very masterful. You can tell that Jeff is a very great musician. I mean, just an awesome musician. There's guitars, bass, drums, strings, keyboards, synths, some electronic drums, definitely some brass instruments, some horns. But yeah, overall, I mean, they all kind of work together to create these great, like, sort of, I guess, pop punk rock songs. And it just, I feel like it's sort of an elevated version of like pop punk, I guess. But I don't know. I also feel like calling it pop punk almost, it's not, I, I don't think it's just a pop punk record. I think honestly, there's almost like something for everyone here. I just think it's a fantastic record. The stuff that it reminds me of, Reggie in the Full Effect, I would say even there's a little bit of an element of like They Might Be Giants kind of going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would also say, stuff that you would probably think of, like maybe like Lawrence Arms or The Loved Ones, or even a little bit of like Rancid, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Just fantastic. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't say enough good things about it. I've been listening to this record quite a bit lately. And there's a really great documentary about Jeff Rosenstock and the history of Bomb the Music Industry on YouTube. If you just look up Bomb the Music Industry documentary, and it's just really inspiring to see somebody kind of hold on to those ideals throughout his entire career, and really just put out what I think is just great music. So yeah, Jeff Rosenstock, Worry. This is definitely been one of my favorite records lately. What did you think, Erik?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. So from the jump, it's pretty amazing. Like from the first track, it's like, whoa, something else is going on here. It was very theatrical in its own way. This is the first I've heard of Jeff Rosenstock, including everything that was a precursor to this or whatever. And I really liked it. I would say overall, I thought it was like a quirky sort of indie rock pop. It was punky. It also was like I already said, like theatrical and orchestral in ways at times. But yeah, it pretty much goes everywhere good within those realms. So like there's like elements of indie psych, soul music, new wave, ska, old school hardcore, emo, power pop, all these different elements. But for the most part, I think it felt really unified, and those elements were just part of a bigger sound, not really like huge changes in style or whatever. But yeah, I think for me at its core, it felt like this was Jeff Rosenstock sort of like just paying homage to everything that they like, just like all these elements. And that came through. Really cool songs and arrangements, really great performances. I gotta say, the bass on this record, if you let yourself just listen to that, I should have looked it up. I'm not sure who played bass. It's one of the most intuitive styles I've heard. I really loved it. They held down the rhythmic element of it, played fills, supported the melody where it was needed. it's like a master class in how to make bass an interesting and integral part of a performance. Anyway, just an aside there. The production's really great. Yeah, vocally, I feel like Jeff Rosenstock has a pretty good range of things, but to me, it felt like most of it was happening somewhere, and this would sort of be the scale. At one end would be Rivers Cuomo, and then in the middle would be Kevin Barnes of Montreal, and then all the way at the other end would maybe be like Jonah, the singer from Far. Like I think it runs the gamut of those kind of vocal styles. A lot of it kind of Rivers Cuomo sounding all the way through. It's a great listen. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed We Begged to Explode. That was the first song.
Great opener.
Yeah. I don't know. I did really like a lot of this.
I really like Wave Goodbye to Me. That
To Be a Ghost. They're all really cool songs. And they're all, for the most part, pretty short. There's some that push about 4 minutes, but for the most part, they're like under 2 minutes. And so the record moves along really well, and it was super good. I really enjoyed it. The things it reminded me of, and this is the crux of my review, basically, is like, if you like these things, then whatever. But I would say Neutral Milk Hotel, Bright Eyes, Of Montreal, Tripping Daisy, Modest Mouse. You can see where I'm going with all this. Weezer, actually Brian Wilson at times, Ben Folds. There is a sort of garagey sound, which made me think of Raining Sound. On a local level, some of the subject matter and delivery reminded me a lot of Sam Locke Ward. But for the most part, honestly, I would say that if you took a snippet of any part of this record, it would remind me of The Rentals, which doesn't seem like it would be the right answer, but I don't know. The vocals, the synthesizers, the way the songs move, especially The Rentals' second record, the 7 More Minutes. It reminded me a lot of that record. So
I could see that.
But yeah, I really thought this was cool. And it's something, this is so stupid, but I've seen this album cover for however many years at this point.
8 years.
Yeah, for about 8 years, I've seen this album cover and been like, whoa, that looks pretty good. I should check that out. So I'm glad that you picked it. I finally listened to it. But yeah, super good stuff.
I used to walk down to the docks in spring and drink tall boys on the rocks by the water, under the watchful eye of day glow cranes. They spread like flags from corner to corner. Wave good night to me. When it all fell down, I should have been prepared. They spent the last 5 years yelling, come on, come on, come on, get out of here. I wish it didn't hurt. I wish I didn't care. They spent the last 5 years yelling, come on, come on, come on, get out of here. Your ignorance is bliss until the day the things you ignored all come into focus. And those conveniences we tavernies, they can't get filled 'cause you didn't notice. Wait, good night to me. When it all fell down, I should have been dropped down. They spent the last 5 years yelling, come on, come on, come on, get out of here. I wish it didn't hurt. I wish I didn't care. They spent the last 5 years yelling, come on, come on, come on, get out of here. Come on, come on, get out of here. Come on, come on, get out of here. Come on, come on, get out of here.
Yeah, definitely. Great stuff.
Okay. The reason I'm so obnoxiously clearing my throat is because I'm about to go the F off in my review. So my record this episode, I was going to say this week, but let's be real, dudes.
yeah, it's definitely this episode.
It's gonna come out when it comes out.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, my pick for this episode was a group called Hot Graves.
Ah.
The record is called Plague Wielder. Came out this year. So Hot Graves is from Gainesville. No, they are from Gainesville, Florida. Been around since 2008, but this is the first I've listened to them. I was pretty blown away by this. I found it was a pretty like astonishing blend of heavy styles, an endless amount of styles mixed together. I would say there's aspects of thrash, like old school thrash, black metal, industrial, party metal, symphonic black metal, D-beat, crust, maybe even elements of like the heavier side of glam, and also some new wave of British heavy metal. So I know that was basically all the styles, but they're all there. They're all really there. The vocals are really cool, super aggressive, distorted. I found it to have like a really big sort of Al Jorgensen feel for the most part, but a little more guttural, getting into that death kind of singing. Yeah, but a really amazing second vocal comes in sometimes as well. Sometimes it's what you would expect, with which would be like a screamy, higher vocal over the regular vocal, which does happen. But sometimes it goes into like even more guttural death vocal under an already guttural death vocal. So it gets real intense. The music, it seems mostly interested in being stylistically like uncategorizable, like not as a goal, not an obvious goal, but just existing in that space of let's put in everything we love. The guitar leads, they go as many places as all the styles I already said. So you'll have like classical inspired black metal solos, but then it goes into like really fast dive bomby Slayer type solos, but then also into like the bluesy thrash styles like Suicidal or even like Kirk Hammett style solos. When the guitarist is doing like a more of the rhythm styles, it's got a really great combination of like stompy, tight, chugging stuff, but then adds really complex and dissonant chords to give it, you know, more of a symphonic, even almost emo-ish sound, that dissonance. You know, I know that sounds not great to say emo, but some of the layering of the chords, I mean, it does have that element. The drums go from crusty D beats to blast beats to tom heavy grooves to like straight thrash. Yeah, there's a lot of like black metal dungeon synth style organs. They add a whole nother element to the record that you might not expect, because to me, a lot of the time it does seem, I don't know, upbeat might sound a little silly, but I don't know. Yeah, when you add the synths in, it takes this sort of party element. I don't know how to say it, but it grounds it, makes it darker, makes it heavier. And then the bass kind of ties it all together, being like the only real constant, you know, as far as the timbre and sound of the bass, but also the playing. It's just like really holding it all together. But yeah, I found this record to be really creative, fun, beautifully arranged and performed. And yeah, one of the most energetic and I don't know, just enjoyable metal records I've heard in a really long time. There were moments I was listening where I actually had to like pause it and just like shake my head in disbelief. Like, just like, I can't believe they just pulled that off. But yeah, I can't wait to go back and hear more. And they do have a lot of things out, like I said, spanning all the way back to 2008. I think every song on it was killer, like really every song. But my favorites were probably Infinite Glimmering Chasm, which is the second song, which really does have a fun kind of sound to it. And like I said, I feel weird saying elements of like heavy glam, but like there are moments that the riffs sound like Motley Crue or Wasp or something, like they just do. And so that's super fun in my opinion. I would say that my point of references for metal are not very deep, and I'll admit that. It's kind of like with hip hop. I know the stuff I know and like what I like, but I'm not an expert by any means. So the things I compare this to are going to be obvious, but what are you going to do? So yeah, I would say Suicidal, Discharge, Ministry, Slayer, Possessed, Emperor, and it reminded me a little bit of Glass Ox with that sort of like super metallic element to it. Like, I don't know, Glass Ox has that same sort of deal where it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like shiny. It's like shiny metal, if that makes any sense. It's got some gleam to it, But yeah, I can't really say enough about this. I listened to it since we had some time off and we picked these records 3 weeks ago. I've listened to it quite a few times. And yeah, I would say if you like pretty much anything heavy, you're going to find something in here that like kind of reminds you what you like about listening to heavy music. So I don't know. What do you think, Dan?
I thought it was really good. I also have a very limited palette when it comes to metal. That being said, though, to me, this was just tight as hell, black and, well, not just because it's like you said, Erik, because I agree with pretty much everything you say. I think this touches on a lot of different elements of metal. And I think that they've done a really good job of almost like, I don't know, it's almost like an education in like different metal styles throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of like listening to this record. But at the heart of it, I just thought this was like a really tight as hell blackened thrash metal record. A lot of intense riffs, a lot of really intense blast beats. The bass is awesome. Some really, really great intense vocals. Definitely has an old school metallic sort of hardcore feel. But yeah, a lot of it reminds me of just old school thrash mixed with like black metal. But there's also, I mean, like you were saying, there's a little bit of like a ambient synth kind of dungeon synth. There's definitely elements of black metal. And as you said, Erik, elements of kind of glam metal even. Like there are times where I felt like I was listening to like a 80s Judas Priest record,
Mm-hmm.
like British Steel or something,
Yep.
even like Maiden. And I think that's awesome because I feel like not a lot of, and I can totally see where you're going with the party element sort of thing, because that also made it really fun to listen to,
Mm-hmm.
like whenever they would kind of go into something like that. But yeah, there's just a lot of really great styles kind of thrown your way. The performance is tight as heck. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to add to what you said, Erik. I just think that this is it's a really tight metal record. And as you said, I think that if you're a metalhead of any kind, I don't see how you couldn't get into this record.
Mm-hmm.
It also shares an album title with Dark Throne. So I didn't know if there's a Dark Throne album called Plague
No,
Wielder.
I didn't realize.
Yep. And anytime there's an association with Dark Throne and metal, that always gets a thumbs up from me. I doubt I doubt they called it Plague Wielder because of Dark Throne, but I just wanted to point that out because Plague Wielder is actually one of my favorite Dark Throne records also. But yeah, I can't even pick a favorite song off of this because I really think that it works together as a cohesive piece so well. But if I had to pick a couple of tracks, I really like the opening track, Flashing Madness of Death. I remember Baptized in Brimstone, Structural Violence, and also Infinite Glimmering Chasm. That might actually be my favorite one, actually. Yeah. I mean, the entire record is just fantastic. The stuff that it reminded me of, Shadows Fall, Emperor for sure, a little bit of Judas Priest, a little bit of Maiden. I would say there are times where it actually reminded me of Dark Throne. And then also like it really kind of reminded me of like sort of the new crop of bands that we're seeing that's kind of doing this style. I definitely think they stand out from most of them, but Hot Graves Plague Wielder, definitely a really cool record. So that's pretty much all I got.
Nice.
Really fantastic to check out if you're into metal. I think that it's definitely worth a listen. The local pick that we're going to talk about this episode,
Keep it local,
is from a group called New Standards Men, and it's called Against Our Vanishings. They are an instrumental, I think mostly instrumental, if not all instrumental group from Dubuque, Iowa. And I'm not sure if this is the lineup with every record. I know they've been around for a while and they have played a lot of shows, but this record anyway features Drew Bissell on bass, who used to actually play bass for Accelerativ a long time ago. Jeremy Bershaw, who plays guitar, Bob Bocco Jr., who's on saxophone and percussion, who I know you're familiar with, Bob Bucko. And I've listened to some of his stuff. Really, really interesting. He has some solo work that's definitely worth checking out. And then Ike Turner on drums. This is definitely a really, really cool record. It consists of two tracks. The first one is 16 minutes and 13 seconds long. Second one is 18 minutes and 47 seconds. And the first one is called Thundercloud and Aquamarine. And the second is Bony Lunar Dust. And the best thing that I can say, and Erik, you might actually have some more insight and maybe some more stuff that you can say about the style of this record, but it's just got a lot of really, really cool atmosphere. There's a lot of elements of sort of instrumental indie rock. There's definitely some stuff that reminds me of drone, reminds me a little bit of maybe sludgy metal. It really is a record that I think sort of the sounds that you're hearing, there's a lot of movement with it. There's a lot of sort of areas where it builds up and then kind of slows down, builds up, slows down. So it kind of has almost like a cinematic sort of feeling to it in that sense. A little bit of sort of psychedelic elements to it. There's, like Bob Bucco's saxophone, especially towards the end of the first track, is absolutely amazing. That's where I kind of feel like maybe there's a certain element of improvisation going on, because it really does kind of give out sort of a free jazz sort of feel. I also feel like this record is very tightly controlled in a lot of ways as well. I assume there's probably an element of improvisation, and maybe it's all even improvisation. I don't know. Maybe, like I said, Erik, maybe you have a little bit more insight as into that, but I certainly think that it's just a really, really cool record. I wish I could really say more about it, but when it comes to like the sort of instrumental drony rock stuff, I'm very limited in like what I know about it and how to describe things. But I will say it's a very, very cool record, and I had a blast listening to it, and it was very inspiring. And both songs, both tracks are absolutely amazing. It just works together so well. Um, as far as stuff it reminded me of, I mean, Godspeed You Black Emperor, a little bit of Tristeza. There were moments of it that really reminded me of like J.G. Thirlwell, especially like the Venture Brothers soundtrack. Moments of it kind of reminded me a little bit of I don't know, Juno. I don't know. That it's really hard to say, and that's kind of one of the things I really like about it is I like the fact that I kind of struggle to explain this record, you know, because to me that just makes it all the more interesting. And I think it's if you're into this kind of stuff, this sort of like spacey instrumental rock, but then also elements of drone, elements of free jazz, maybe even a little bit of noise. Yeah, I think that you could definitely enjoy this record for sure. Great job, New Standards, man. This is really fantastic stuff. What did you think, Erik?
I loved this. Yeah, I've not heard New Standards Men up to this point. I didn't really know this is what they did, and so I'm glad that you suggested we listen to it. I think you mentioned this, but it listed at Bandcamp that this is a Denver, Colorado-based band, which we could still consider local. But yeah, a lot of the folks are from Iowa or still live here. So that I don't know. Maybe it's just one or two of the members that live in Denver. Not sure. But yeah, like you pointed out, a lot of the people are either from Iowa or even still live here. So yeah, I liked these are kind of like just long form sort of I don't know, immersive kind of ambient dark jazz kind of stuff. I would say there's like I said, there's elements of dark jazz, post rock, no wave. Yeah, the songs move as you would sort of expect them to move. They start out mellow and slow, build to a crescendo, and then usually kind of taper down from there. But what makes this a little different is it goes a little further than sort of just being ambient. It does get a little heavier in a very post-rock sort of way. The guitars even get to a distorted point at some moments. But yeah, still played basically like single note arpeggios through chords and things like that. Never really just like power chord heavy metal or anything like that. But yeah, it's super, like I said, immersive, moody. It's kinetic in its own way. Like it just builds upon itself throughout the tracks. And even though I said that it does taper off at the end of these two tracks, it's not like the sort of crescendo or pinnacle of the song is in the center and then you go all the way down. No, it builds up exponentially and then just kind of resolves at the end on both of these pieces. But yeah, I would say that it's like elements of like Godspeed style post rock, elements of like Twin Peaksy kind of dark jazz. But yeah, I don't know how what else there really is to add to that. That is exactly kind of what's happening. All the performances are great. All the tones are great. The production is great. Nothing distracts you from the mood and the environment, and you just are sort of living in that space for 14 16 minutes, whatever it is. And yeah, I thought this was really cool. I'd love to see this performed live. And I think Bob Bucko's saxes are really cool. It seems like they might be out of place when you first start these tracks, thinking, oh, there's going to be a sax pretty soon. And I've seen Bob do a lot of like noisier saxophone stuff too. So I was like, oh, is he just going to come in and blast some noise? But no, he does exactly what the song calls for and keeps it in that sort of dark jazz place. So things that it reminded me of, obviously, like Angelo Badalamenti, Twin Peaks kind of stuff. Mogwai, especially the Come On Die Young record. Boren and Der Club of Gore, sort of that dark jazz kind of thing. I would say also within that realm, the Mount Fuji Doom Jazz Corporation, which if you like dark jazz stuff is really cool. As far as the post-rock stuff, like I said, Mogwai, Russian Circles, maybe the more aggressive side of the guitars like Set Fire to Flames. But honestly, at its core, the thing that this reminded me of the most was Tuxedo Moon. And I don't know if it was just the tone of the saxophone and what else was happening. But yeah, if you're into Tuxedo Moon, I think you'll really dig this as well. But yeah, really cool release. If they come around, I'm going to make sure to go see them. I really enjoyed this. So yeah, good pick, man. What was that? Y'all done?
Well, I stand corrected. I thought New Standards Men was from Dubuque, but apparently they're from Denver. Oh, yeah. And I had a good time reviewing Hot Graves and Jeff Rosenstock and New Standards Men with my friend Erik Whitaker. Erik Whitaker. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You
Thanks
can't
for listening to Accelerativ Thrust. Two
Wow.
guys with beards reviewing music all day.
Damn. You have a beard
Anyway.
now? Can I see on the video?
Oh, sure. I thought I had one. Hold on a second. See?
Oh yeah, there's your beard. Nice.
Kinda, a little bit.
I
Yeah.
see it. Nice.
But anyway, yeah, thanks. What did we learn today, Erik?
I guess I learned that we're living in a musical.
Okay, yeah, we're living in a musical. That was definitely made clear by the Jeff Rosenstock album.
Well, and you singing.
Oh yeah, I guess is that what really gave it away?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then yeah. So we're living in a musical, and
Living in a musical.
living in a musical. And then there's also how to drive people away from Iowa.
Yeah.
So,
We talk about all access passes.
all access passes. Hey, one of the things that really got me back, interested in Garfield again was when they started doing the Garfield minus Garfield.
Yeah, it's great.
It's
And it
awesome.
just makes John look like a lunatic.
Yeah, like Garfield's not there. He's just
Yeah.
John Arbuckle's just like talking to himself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is way better.
It is.
I think it's better.
I think so too.
I
And
mean, Jim Davis had a lot of success. I don't think he's going to be frustrated if I'm like, your original idea was actually super shitty. I don't think he's going to care what I think.
well, I mean, I don't know. I definitely enjoyed the Garfield books. And once in a while, I still find myself kind of enjoying like an episode of Garfield and Friends or something. That was part of my
Yeah, I was
Saturday
thinking about
morning
watching
ritual.
that again. I saw it was on TV somewhere.
Uh-huh.
Is U.S. Acres like the sideshow on that one?
Yep.
Okay.
With Orson, the pig.
Yeah.
And I always liked U.S. Acres. I thought it was pretty funny. Like farm animals that always had some sort of conflict going on.
Yeah. I really like the idea of having a secondary show within your show.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe
too.
we should do that on here. Like what's going to be our brown hornet, Like when you need to figure that out.
We could call it the Brown Hornet.
Yeah, well, I think that one might be taken.
Is
Although, I don't think Bill Cosby's probably using it right now.
Was that a Bill Cosby thing?
It was the Fat Albert secondary cartoon.
Oh, what? I don't remember that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if they did it every episode, but they would go into a sort of a Brown Hornet episode sometime. But what are some other ones?
Well, I remember Scooby-Doo had the they sometimes would have like the special guest shows, like where it's like Batman and like the Harlem Globetrotters. I always thought that was great.
I was thinking more like Heathcliff had another. It was like the Junkyard one.
The Junkyard Cats, the really like shaggy cats. Yeah, I remember that.
What was that called? It had the
I don't remember.
Rapping guy that rhymed had headphones and roller skates.
Ain't no way in this kind of place you'll find a cat with this kind of face.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember it. Yeah. I mean, I remember it, but I don't remember what the title of it is. Heathcliff was like the one show that like you were only able to, well, not the one show. There was like a whole slew of shows on Nickelodeon that you only saw if you like were sick, from school because Heathcliff was on like at noon or something. And then Inspector Gadget. I remember Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
Dennis the Menace. All those things.
The Menace.
Dennis the Menace. But
the live action Dennis the Menace is really funny. Like for real.
Really?
I watched an episode the other day and I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, I think what's his name? Jay North maybe or something like that. His performance is really good, actually.
One of those old shows that I really like is Mr. Ed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Mr. Ed's pretty good.
That show is great. Did you ever see the Ween video where they somebody took footage of Mr. Ed and made a music video to Stallion Part 2?
No.
Oh, really?
No, pretty good.
Yeah. It's absolutely hilarious.
All right.
Do you remember Stallion Part 2 off of the pod?
Yeah.
God, my favorite song off the pod though is probably Got an Awesome Sound. Going round. Got that awesome sound going down.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
You don't like the pod? Then get out of here.
Yeah. Then you blew it.
You blew it.
You're subhuman.
Subhuman. All right. Well, I think we had a good run.
Yeah.
Y'all,
thanks for joining us for the last episode.
Thanks for joining us. Oh man. Bye.
What? Okay, I did want to say though, since we've been kind of sporadic with the releases, and I think we're gonna get back on track. We're gonna try, of course. But anyway, I was gonna say that you should subscribe to the podcast where you listen to it. And I'm not saying this like, ooh, make sure to smash that like, but seriously, since we're not coming out every week, if you subscribe, then you will be alerted when there is a new episode and you don't have to worry about it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That
Yes, that is
yeah.
a really great idea.
Anyways.
All right, man.
Okay.
Well, until next time, we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Ripperoo, Ripperino. Peace out, Girl Scout.